Jamie Pafford Gresham.
Our family, that is very fitting for this group of people because I know so many of you are here because your home team sent you, and they really are our family. So welcome to Washington and the American Ambulance Association Stars of Life event. We're really excited that you're here. I love the energy that is in the room, and there is 147 of you. And what I will promise you, we have a little closeness this morning, but we'll be spreading out in the days to come. So I hope everybody showered this morning, got your deodorant on. We're going to have a good morning, and we're going to learn a few things about Washington, D.C., and we're going to learn some things about you as well. I might need my clicker, just so you guys know. This is not my day job. I do own and operate ambulance services for a living. And as he said, I'm Jamie Pafford Gresham, and I am so very honored to be the president of the American Ambulance Association. I'm a second generation EMS provider and a third generation first responder. And so I have heard the word ambulance every day of my life. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just in my vocabulary. And so I grew up all things EMS, and that's all I knew. The crew members were my family members. They were the ones that were making me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when my parents were on call. And I come from South Arkansas, so we're a little different from the metropolitan areas back in the day. I mean, we literally took the ambulance to the grocery store when I was a kid, and I got dropped off at school in the ambulance, and it was cool until I was about 14. Like, could you come get me in something else? So then they made me walk home. So, true story. But it is such a special honor to serve you and to serve our industry, because there's nothing I enjoy more than talking about our men and women of EMS and what we do on a daily basis and just sharing our world with others. I think you and I have a really big job. I think it's wonderful you're here, that you're a star, but even back home, being able to tell the story of what we do and why we do it. Sometimes we ask ourselves, why do we do this again? And it is true. We were like, some days we feel like folks are ungrateful for the job that we just did. But at the same moment in time, do you guys realize people invite you into their home at 2 and 3 a.m. and say, come help my mother, come help my husband, this is going on, come on in my house. They welcome us, usually with open arms on their worst day. And so you have a really special trait. People trust us. You guys are in DC for a couple of days, and I don't care what color tie you wear, red or blue, doesn't matter to me. You're gonna have a good time, and you're gonna figure out what makes this country turn in just the next few days. And a lot of times, and this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about advocacy on Capitol Hill and what goes on here. This next few days is about you. We're not pushing anything. We're pushing you and the good work you do at home and what we can do for America. So just to survey the room a little bit, let's see who's in here. So, if you have been in the ambulance business for, this is an easy one, a year, stand up. That would be the other side. You're an EMT, or paramedic, stand up. Okay. You never know. So, if you have been in EMS longer than 5 years, stay standing. Okay, if you've been in EMS longer than 10 years, stay standing. If you've been in EMS 15 years, okay, if you've been in EMS 20 years, continue standing. Okay, 25. I gotta do my counting. 30. 35. Okay. You're looking good. I see you back there. You're looking good too. 35. 40. 45. You know what? Chuck, how long have you been in? 45, okay. Gary from Arkansas.
46.
Yes, sir. 46. Randy,
This is my 50th year.
bless your heart. 47. What state?
North Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
54.
Yay! So, thank you, Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy is from Oklahoma, and he is a former president of the association. I might say, hey, did I miss you? Hold on, what are you two still doing standing? Okay, well, the lights are bright up here. I am so sorry. Please tell me how long you've been here.
52.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Priority, how long?
51.
Okay. I told you, this is not my day job, okay? And I won't be in the comedy shop later. And speaking of Priority, thank you, Brian Gibson, thank you, Priority family, for providing the breakfast this morning. And we're very appreciative, and we've got a lot of them. When we talk about our sponsors, you know, there's a great list of folks that are on here that have helped make this possible, from your breakfast to the trolley rides to your dinner to the drinks to the name tags, you name it, we found somebody to pay for it, okay? We're broke, we're in the ambulance business, okay? And so these are all the people, but you guys need to take a moment and thank your hometown ambulance service for sending you here. Thank the crews for covering for you back at home, and because they are a vital part of what we do. Having 147 of you here is really a blessing, and I look forward to the week to come. Social media. I know some of you like it, some of you don't. Some of you are pirates and get a little happy with your fingers sometimes with some of the things you share. Filter, people, filter. Okay, we've got a great industry and we want to promote it, and that's what I want to help you learn to do this week. So promote your time up here, and if you won't do it, have your significant other do it for you or somebody back at home, because we want folks to know that you're here and that we're thankful that you do a part in our communities and our industry, and do it. Somebody else will tell you where the sites are at. Yeah, there it is. See, yeah, that's it. I'm not real good at that, but we will try. There are stars here that did not make it to DC today, and in their absence, we have them listed up here. And they missed breakfast. They're going to miss a good time, some good weather. I think you'll have wonderful weather. And as we roll around this week, I really would like the veterans in the room to stand. Do we have any veterans? Thank you, sir. Some of you may think that you have nothing to do with Washington, D.C. and our industry that we have. But I want you to know, just for the vets here today, we actually have been working on legislation that helps further the education of vets and takes their time that they have in military service and their medical service and takes credit for that. And so those are just little things that we work on a national basis to make sure not only we're taking care of our vets, but we're taking care of our communities as well. The role of EMS, and one of my former friends told me this one time, and it has stuck with me, and I've used it in numerous city council rooms. So just think for a minute. We're all here. Maybe you're at home. Okay, you're at home and you're eating lunch at some restaurant there at home, and you get a phone call that says, "Hey man, your house is on fire. I'm pretty sure that's your house that's on fire." You know, You get in your car, you start heading for your house, you see the smoke billowing from the side of town, and you're like, ooh, I hope the fire department's on the way. I hope everybody's there. I hope, get the fire department rolling. Well, you get closer to your home, you turn down the street that's your street, and you see somebody running up the street. They used to would carry a TV. They don't carry TVs anymore. They're too big. So you can just pick your favorite tool. If your tools are running up the street, something that you value is running up the street and the thief is headed out with your stuff. And you think, man, I hope the police catch him. Man, he's stealing my stuff. Somebody needs to make sure that the police department catches him. And then you get closer to your home and you throw the car in park and you start running up to the house. And the fire department's there. Police hopefully is chasing the bad guy. And then you realize that you have a loved one on the ground that needs medical attention. At that moment in time, you don't care if the house burns down. You don't care if the robber takes all of your stuff. Your next question at that moment in time is, where's the ambulance? And you guys know it. So in countless council rooms, I've told that story. And I had somebody step up one day and said, we pay the dog catcher more than we pay the ambulance service to be here. That was about 8 years ago. And that rattled me to the bone to think where we were placed in a lot of communities. And then when you tell that story and they realize, and thanks Jim O'Connor from New York for sharing that with me one day, it rattles them to the bone to really take note of the job that we do. And that at the end of the day, of that three-legged stool that everybody talks about, that we're usually the fire, police, and EMS, we're usually the wobbly one, we become the strongest one. And so you being here today, recognize you and put you up on a pedestal allows us to continue to tell the story of the good work we do in our communities at home. During the pandemic, I coined the phrase, I believe that our men and women of EMS are the Swiss Army knife of healthcare professionals. So you think about it. And you can't get through security with a Swiss Army knife, by the way. I know I've already lost a couple. I've tried to sneak them everywhere and they find them every time. But I have a Swiss Army knife that I love to take with me when I'm talking and tell about all of the things that a paramedic can do. Right on scene. Just think about your skill set, and each time you open a blade, name something that you can do. We're pretty handy in that sense. And so for a lot of communities, we really become the healthcare safety net. And this is a story that myself and the American Ambulance Association and all of our board members have been telling for quite some time up here, that you guys are special. And you guys in this room are really special because you're one of 147 stars this year. I truly believe that the destiny of EMS is in our hands. And it's how we tell our story and move forward. I tell my medics, look, we've been trying to do some treatment in place stuff, some MIH stuff, a lot of things going on in our space right now. And so I'm visiting with the medics trying to get them to utilize the system, and some do, some don't. And some get problems, some don't. Some really embrace what's going on. What I'm asking you to do is embrace what's going on in our industry right now, because we're trying to put you up on a pedestal. I think you're fantastic. I think you've got a skill set like no other. The secret is out. You are the secret sauce to healthcare. And the jobs that you're able to do in your hometowns really builds that healthcare safety net. Because when the doctor's office closes, when the hospital shuts down, when the OB unit is no longer open, guess who their next phone call is? 911, what's your emergency? It's you guys. And you do an awesome job. So think about that as you're doing your storytelling and you're educating people of what you do. Don't be afraid. There are many opportunities here this week. And one of the things you need to make sure you do is, how many of you know why you're here today? Okay. You might go back and read your bio later. Okay? I have been in congressional offices and I say, hello, Senator. This is Mary from Arkansas. And he goes, wow, Mary, great. Why were you selected as a star? Oh, I don't know.
but it is kind of true. This is what y'all do on a daily basis, and so we don't find it to be substantial or out of the ordinary. It's just what we do. So let people embrace the jobs that you do. And although we've got probably for a lot of you, a snapshot in time of a situation or a circumstance, the reason you're here, and some of you are here for many, many years of service. But every star matters, and every story is important. It's a snapshot in time. So I like to liken everything to a spoke and a wheel. Yes, I am a little country. And if you think about a wheel and the spokes going around it, I'm talking about the country one, you know, like at Cracker Barrel, before they try to change it. Everybody's important. Everybody matters. And from the dispatcher to the first responders, to the medic on the scene, to our billing staff that's back at the office that complains because you didn't fill out your paperwork, right? And you didn't close the call, and all of those things. But realizing that each story is special. So no one is greater than the other. I guarantee everybody in here has touched a life, saved a life, and has so much value to offer your communities. So I want you to lead the charge not only here this week, but back at home, within your company, within our industry, within your associations, back home, your EMT association, your state association. Continue to grow our industry. I know some of you are tired. I saw how many of you have been in here a long time. And we've got to find the next generation that loves what we do as much as we do, and that will take care of our communities. And if we're telling bad stories, they're not going to be running to the schoolhouse. We've got to tell those stories that make a difference. So I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to hearing many of your stories and sharing them with others. But enough of my chatter, and I actually could talk about y'all all day, and I won't. But I hope you get out of your comfort zone this week. I hope you allow the stars to put you on a pedestal. I hope you allow us to just say thank you and accept it. I know it's very hard to accept compliments sometimes, but it's real easy. You just say thank you, and thank you for the job that you're doing. So, as I said, there's so many amazing stories in this room, and today we're going to be lucky enough to hear about an incredible story from one of our stars from the patient. So, Brent, would you start an 83-minute timer?
Chatham Dispatch, Medic 40 respond. Hot for unresponsive person at 5. Respond on channel 3.
40 copy.
Chatham Dispatch, Medic 2828. Respond hot to back Medic 40 at Amla Loop. Respond on channel 3.
40 is in route to Amway Loop.
Unit 40, you're responding to also be Sweet Bailey Cove, 46-year-old female that's passed out. Advised her that her left arm is hurting. She's not bleeding. She's acting altered, and she's not speaking. She is whispering. This is a hot call, so she is responsive.
10-4. Responsive. 40 is on scene.
Copy, have you on scene. 28, I have you responding hot to 40's location. They came in for a female and passed out. You can respond hot.
10-4, show us around.
Chatham Unit 40, fire and an additional unit is en route.
Thank you. We just need some hands.
10-4, they just need to know what level of PPE they should use.
Full PPE. We have a fluorescent.
Copy 40.
2-8 dispatch.
28, go ahead.
Roger. 2-8's en route to Memorial to pick up my partner who is on 40 going hot.
Copy 40 going hot to Memorial and 28 to follow.
please help me give a warm welcome to Tamia Willis.
I'm not good at this, so I'm just going to read off of this. Good morning. My name is, oh my God, sorry. We'll get through this. My first name is not one you probably hear very often. It's Hungarian, and like many names, it carries a story. Sorry. The stories of our lives hold the people, the history, and the moments, both the struggles and the triumphs. We're going to be here a while, so the shape of who we are, the story I'm about to share is one filled with gratitude, resilience, and the incredible power of compassion. One April morning in 2020, I'm sorry. Okay. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, I was outside having what turned out to be my last cigarette. Suddenly, my left arm locked up in agony until my boyfriend saw my face. He ran downstairs just in time to catch me as I collapsed. I remember insisting, no, I can get up, and then everything went dark. What happened next is something I still can't explain. I remember hearing a voice calling my name, Doug's voice, and then being surrounded by pure love and peace. Sorry. I was asked, do you want to stay or do you want to go? I said to stay. I couldn't leave my son or my family yet. Gordon told me I died in his arms. And Doug Struble and Pam Sheik from Chatham Emergency Services arrived on scene and took over like superheroes. In Gordon's words, they worked on me far longer than most would have. And somehow by grace and skill, I came back. 83 minutes of compressions, 7 defibrillator shocks in the ambulance, 3 more in the hospital, 4 stents, countless meds, and somehow I lived. When I was rushed into surgery, they let Gordon sneak a kiss because no one expected me to survive. Yet days later, I woke up in the ICU feeling like I'd been in a brawl, but also knowing I'd seen heaven and my mom was waiting there. According to the staff, I woke up, pulled out my tubes, rolled over, and went back to sleep. Apparently, I'm a side sleeper even in the ICU. My diagnosis was a widowmaker. My left anterior descending artery was 100% blocked. I stand here 5 years later in good health. I take my heart meds daily. My cholesterol is 102, and every morning feels like a bonus round. Gordon says my near-death experience finally got me to marry him almost exactly a year later. And at our wedding stood 2 very special people, Doug and Pam, the paramedics who saved my life. That's how much they mean to me. Since then, I've met a new grandbaby, Riley. My sister and uncle moved closer, and my 95-year-old grandma now lives with me. The little things, the laughs, the hugs, the sunrises are everything. But this week isn't about me, it's about all of you from the 911 dispatchers. To medics, doctors, nurses, and techs, you treated me like family. You honored a life without knowing if you'd ever meet me again. That humility, that commitment, that talent saved me. There are moments my family will never forget, like the nurse who ran into the chaplain's room crying and shouting, "She's alive!" Or the moment I felt unseen hands pulling me back. Those are reminders that what you do is both miraculous and deeply human. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this: you matter. The compassion in your voice, the steadiness in your hands, the persistence in your hearts, those changed lives. You gave me back mine. You made it possible for me to hug Gordon, meet Riley, and laugh with my grandma. I always prayed and asked God to never give up on me, and He didn't. And neither did you. Sorry. You are miracle workers and angels on earth. Before I finish, I want to invite someone who was at my side that day, Doug. Can you please come up and save me just one more time?
here today to honor this lovely lady here. If I'm a star, if we're all stars, she's the sun. She's the reason why we do this. And I'm thankful and honored to be recognized, but I'm blessed to know you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. I know it was difficult. Me and her both were like, we do not like doing this. But you did a wonderful job. And I told you you'd be surrounded by love, and everybody in here feels what they've seen one of you. And it's wonderful that you're here with us today. So, pretty much every one of you have affected someone's life in this room and made a lasting impression and on your patients and in the communities that you serve. So this morning, we're going to have someone else here that may no longer be in the field, but he's impacting what we do each and every day. So it's my honor to introduce Mr. Jonathan Green. He is currently a Deputy Assistant Secretary and Director of the Center for Response within the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response. Folks, that's just ASPR, okay? I had to read all that, but I know it is ASPR. But in Jonathan's role, he's responsible for oversight and management of our national programs designed to assist the country in preparing for and responding to and recovering from public health emergencies and disasters. Jonathan spent over 20 years serving in public safety response and preparedness roles at the local level. Some of those were from some companies right here in this room. He's provided leadership to some of the country's most progressive and innovative EMS systems across the United States and in several major cities. But you know what? At his core, he is absolutely one of us. He's maintained his license as a paramedic since 1990. I saw you standing over there. And this is just one more way, as a paramedic, you can continue to make a difference in someone's life. And you don't always, now I want you to be a street medic because I need people saving lives. You save them in all types, all shapes, all ways. And here's the exciting thing, that Jonathan has taken what he did on the streets and continue to move his career forward, helping all of us each and every day at ASPR. So if you would, welcome Mr. Jonathan Green.
Wow, walk-up music and everything. You guys got it made here. Hey, good morning, everyone. First, I just want to let you know how humbled I am to be sitting here, standing here with you this morning. It's an august group, Stars of Life. It's one of the events that I enjoy coming to town here in DC every year. And every year you hear the stories of folks and the things that they've done either in a lifelong career or sometimes an episode or a single response. But everyone who comes here has a unique story, and I really enjoy the opportunity to be here. So thank you to the American Ambulance Association for allowing me to spend some time with you. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with you because I know that you've got a whole day of interesting stuff, but I have like 4 or 5 things or points that I wanted to make. I'm John Green and I'm a paramedic, and I have been a paramedic since 1990. I started my career up in Connecticut for New Haven Ambulance, which was one of the first 4 companies that made American medical response. And I think I spent about 20 years with AMR and worked in a number of different cities before getting deployed with the Navy as a reservist to the war. And then when I came back, somebody was doing my job, and I didn't want to go to the new city that AMR had lined up for me, and I ended up coming to the federal government, and I spent over a decade working for the Department of Homeland Security, and around 6 or 7 years ago, I moved to Health and Human Services. I'm a member of the Senior Executive Service. Most folks don't know what that is, but it's about 8,000 full-time career federal employees who are charged with being that layer, that senior layer between the civil service and the political appointees and elected leaders of the country. So it's a job that requires a lot of being able to read the room, a lot of being able to try to find common ground between people that don't always agree. And I think that's probably something that everyone in this room can recognize and empathize with in your day-to-day job. And that's part of the point that I want to make. I think first, for each of the stars and their families, it is a humbling experience for you, and you should be extremely proud of being nominated and selected as a star. It's huge. I've been doing this for a long time. I was standing there, I was getting tired of standing. But I've been to a lot of these, and I've seen a lot of stars. It's an amazing accomplishment, and it's really a tribute to the AAA and to your agencies for nominating you, selecting you, and allowing you to be here. This is my town, I live here, but as a visitor to your nation's capital, it's just, even with a government shutdown, it's an amazing place to be. But you should be extremely proud of what you do as EMS providers and family members that support EMS providers. But whether you're here for a single patient encounter or for a lifetime of service in your communities, I urge you to go back to your communities, reinvigorated, and bring the spirit of this week back to your station. There are a lot of folks who deserve to be stars who are not here. Can you imagine that there's only 147 of you in this room, right? How many folks in this industry do you believe are worthy of being a star? So, share with your station. Bring back the enthusiasm, bring back the things that you see here, and share in the award with them, because none of us does this alone, right? Think of the folks that mentored you coming up in EMS, that allowed you to be the medic that you are today. It's likely that that person isn't here as a star, right? So remember them when you go back. I think it's really important right now. We face a real challenge in attracting and retaining talent. And in my role at the federal level, we scratch our heads with how do we grow medics? How do we do all the wonderful things that we think about in expanding the scope of practice, knowing that pre-hospital care providers have the knowledge, skills, and ability to do so much more, but yet when we ask them to do so much more, there's so many fewer of them to do the things that we've traditionally asked EMS providers to do. Talk a little bit about veterans, people coming out of the service, and the barriers that have been put into place that many of us feel are arbitrary barriers that keep somebody who did medicine in the military from jumping out on day one and supporting you shoulder to shoulder in the streets. And so we've got work to do on that, but you've got work to do on that. And that brings up my second point. There is nobody who tells your story better than you. And I want that to sink in for you, because sure, the American Ambulance Association and everyone and their brother can have paid lobbyists who go and talk to Congress members or talk to staff members. But there is nothing more powerful than having you as a constituent come to Washington in your uniform and sit down in front of your elected representative or their staff members and tell them your story. Tell them who you are. Please remember why you were nominated and selected as a star, that helps. But even in the absence of that, just telling the story, your story, the challenges that you face, that your family faces. You're not millionaires, right? Most of you, I don't think. And, sometimes it's really hard to pay the bills with the career that we've chosen, right? That's something that they need to know. They need to know how dedicated you are, how passionate you are, the things that drive you. Why do you do what you do? In some places, the people at Starbucks make more money than EMTs on the road, right? Why is it that you've chosen to be a paramedic or an EMT and not a barista, a high-paid barista, right? Those are things that only you can say. I can say them, and I often do. but the power is in your hands. And so I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with stars over the years. And usually it takes a couple of days of being brought around town to really appreciate the power that you have, the power of your story. And for this week, you truly speak for the entire profession, whether you realize it or want to or not. Please embrace that role. And speak from the heart about what you do, the passion that you have, and why you dedicated yourself to EMS. Believe it or not, they will listen to you. They will hear you speak of the challenges that you face, your agencies, your communities, but most of all, they will hear it from you. That is the most important thing about you being here in DC. Take the opportunity as they arise to tell your story, because trust me, nobody tells your story better than you. You can tell I repeated that like 4 times, right? So if most people listen, they only hear about maybe 1/6. So I'll probably hit on that maybe 1 or 2 times before I leave you. Nobody tells your story better than you. Another point I wanted to make this morning is, you guys, for the most part, are paramedics and EMTs, right? Yeah. And many of you have done nothing other than be a paramedic or EMT your entire career, right? And that's cool. And for some in this room, your current role might be your forever role. And so for some in the room, it might just be a stop along the way to something else. One of the main reasons that I wanted to be up here on the stage in front of you is that regardless of whether you want to do what you're doing for the rest of your life, or there's something else that you have planned, I want to assure you from experience that with what you know, the experiences that you've had, you can tackle any job, any challenge, and any life transition. Think about it. Who else has to walk into a room and read the situation within seconds, right? Who needs to know who's friend or foe? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Judging from the body language, how are we going to tailor our approach today to this problem set? That's just one little thing that you do every single day on every single call. But guess what? Every single CEO, board member of every Fortune 500 company has to do the exact same thing when they walk into that room, when they're trying to make that deal, when they're in that meeting. That skill is not something that everyone has. Well, everyone in this room has that skill. But just like common sense is not all that common, and what you have, not a lot of other people have. You intuitively know when somebody's telling you the truth and when they're lying, right? Do that every day. Make that decision whether that seizure is a seizure or not. But perhaps most importantly, you've got to make life and death decisions in seconds. And oftentimes, you don't have a second opinion to rely on unless you're in a 2-medic system. And you don't have a phone a friend. So it's on you. You have to make high consequence, potentially high regret decisions in a small amount of time in the absence of complete information. What does that sound like to you? I can tell what it sounds like to me is like a combat situation, right? Or a high pressure boardroom situation. Those are the skills that people get taught in business school. It takes them a lifetime and a career to learn, but everyone in this room has it. I want to tell you a short story about a friend of mine, and maybe some of the old timers might know this name, a guy by the name of Lenny Gersha. Now, Lenny and I were paramedics together back in New Haven, Connecticut, back in 1990, 1992. He took the jump, and he was able to secure himself a job with the State of Connecticut Department of Health Office of Emergency Medical Services. And over the ensuing years, he kept getting promoted and promoted and promoted. I think he was the #1 guy in the EMS shop for a number of years, and And he was in town for something very similar to this event, and we met for dinner. And he said, you know, John, the things that we learned as paramedics enabled us to do anything. There is nothing that I do at work that I had to learn someplace else. The experience of being an EMT and paramedic gave me everything that I need to be successful in my job. Now just think about that. Here he is working in a state office, probably a state office that you guys know quite a bit about because you're all licensed or certified by these health authorities. How many folks in this room would feel comfortable walking into Lenny's shoes and sitting and taking over for him in his office? But believe me, you could, because you have all the skills necessary to do that job. Don't be afraid to keep learning, keep growing, expand your boundaries, whether it's within EMS or without. The long-term strength of our profession requires it. And most importantly, you need to know you already have what it takes to accomplish just about anything. So in addition to taking that medal home with you, take that little nugget as well. And I just want to wrap with a few final thoughts for you this morning. Next month, I'll be ending my term as the rotating chairman of the Federal Interagency Committee on Emergency Medical Services, known as FICEMS. So it's one of my last acts, and on behalf of the 5 cabinet agencies that make up the committee, I personally welcome you to our nation's capital city and thank each and every one of you for your service. Speaking of service, I want to reserve the last minute or two up here as a shameless plug. The plug is for the National Disaster Medical System, or NDMS. Some of you may have participated in NDMS in the past, been members of the DMAT team, Disaster Medical Assistance team, or Mortuary Affairs team. It is another way to give back to your community. It's a group of intermittent federal employees. They get paid, and they work every day in health systems, pre-hospital care arenas every day in the country. But when the nation calls for a natural disaster or support the Department of Defense in handling wounded warriors from a large-scale combat operation, NDMS is the go-to tool, the Swiss Army knife of the federal government. And for many years, we've had a hiring freeze, but we look forward to, in the spring, being able to post on usajobs.gov. And the average age currently of folks in NDMS is in their mid to late 50s. So we really, really, really love to get some new, fresh, enthusiastic blood, particularly as we prepare for, not saying global warming, but there seems to be more hurricanes and natural disasters out there, as well as the potential for conflict around the world. So I beseech you to please, told you you're able to do just about anything, that you have the skills and ability. I know for a fact you've got the skills and ability to support NDMS. Look, it's been a super honor to welcome you here and share a few thoughts this morning. I wish you all an amazing time. This city, whether, I'm wearing a blue tie this morning, but please don't take anything from that. I have blue ones, I have red ones, whatever's necessary. Please, even though the government's shut down and a lot of the museums are closed, if you've never been to Washington, D.C., it's an amazing place, and you pay for it. So please enjoy it. I take for granted coming to work, driving by the Washington Monument, but anytime I get friends and family into town, the oohs and ahs just start coming out of the back seat. So please do the oohing and ahhing. I told somebody before, my favorite place in DC, monument-wise, is the Korean War Memorial at night. Now, we don't have snow, but it's even better with snow covering on top of the soldiers. But if you get an opportunity to do the night tour, and just they're larger than life to begin with, and when they're underlit, it's just amazing. You'll feel it in your core. So if you're looking to have something to remember about DC that fills you to your core, go see the Korean War Memorial, take in everything, even if you just take a stroll down the mall and just take it all in. It's an amazing place, and I hope you have an exceptional time, and I hope to get to spend a few minutes with some of you folks. I'm invited to come tomorrow night, so I'll be there, and if folks are looking to learn more about how they can do more with what you already know, please let me know. Thank you. You're great.
said a lot of things that I was absolutely going to tell you guys, you know, and while you're in Washington, do some of these things at night. You are exactly right. The memorials at night just have a new life to them. So skip the bar, well, have a drink or two, and then go out and then have a little walk. Every one of them just, they're beautiful. So you can do that. Our group will absolutely do that, and you'll have a new, it'll renew your spirit from what we do in America. It really will. So whether it's Doug showing up for Tamia or Johnson showing up for all of us, this week really is about celebrating EMS and what we do for our communities, and most of all, what you've done for your patients and the towns that you serve. So there's big acts, there's little acts. It takes all of us to make the wheel go around. But this event today and the next few days is about you and your time that you have here in Washington. Please try to enjoy it. And one of the things that I've been coming to DC for a long time. It was by accident that I got here. I'll tell you this little story of why DC matters to me. I come from a small rural community, and back in the 90s, while the Clinton administration was here, we had an opportunity. They were going to change the fee schedule. Talk a little money here, but change the fee schedule of how they paid ambulance services. And it was going to be detrimental to our little ambulance service in Arkansas. And a lot of the rural ambulance services across America, we just couldn't figure out how we were going to continue to make payroll and make it if these new laws went into effect. And so Clinton was in the White House at that time, and I might add that we weren't just really big fans at that point in time. He was the governor of Arkansas, and you know, you just, so anyways, do what your parents do at that point in time in life. And my daddy, I'm part of a 58-year-old company. And so I've been in and out of the billing office. We didn't know how we were going to make it through this change. And so I was watching Good Morning America this morning. That's been on there 50 years as of today. And it said, you know, Clinton is coming back, going to Arkansas. And we'd never been to a fundraising event in my life. My daddy didn't believe in patting politicians on the back, so we've never done any of that. And it said Clinton was coming to Arkansas. And I was like, man, that's what we're going to do. $1,000 a plate dinner. This is back in the early 90s. And I'm like, we ain't got the kind of money. And I told my dad, I was like, Daddy, we got to go try to get to the Clintons. And he said the same thing. We don't have that kind of money. And I'm like, but what else are we going to do? We've got to tell them what's going to happen to us. And so he and I paid $1,000 a plate to go see Bill and Hillary Clinton at a dinner there in Arkansas. And first one I'd ever been to. And I was pretty young, I know, pretty young at that point. And the Clintons did a little receiving line or something. And when they got to us, we quickly told Bill Clinton who we were and where we were from, and why it was important for him to listen to what we had to say, all in about 2 minutes. I am a fast talker. We are moving very quickly this morning, and I was able to tell him that, look, sir, if you allow this new federal regulation to go in, we, as an ambulance provider in Arkansas, are not going to be in business anymore, and it's really detrimental to us. And so he wrote on the back of my card a few notes and then went on. And me and Dad spent our $2,000 and we rode back home and just sitting there in silence going, I wonder what in the world's going to happen. Probably nothing, Daddy said. It was nothing. And a few weeks went by. Federal the folks up here in D.C. were working on changing our fee schedule, and it was not positive for us. And I got a call from the office that said, Jamie, you need to call this number back. And I said, what is it? She said, well, it's somebody from the White House. And this young lady was working during the summer. We love giving summer jobs to people. And I said, well, what do you mean somebody? You know, the White House, the one down the street from you, the White House, the one with the chickens in the front yard. And I was in Mississippi when she gave me the number, and it said 202. I was smart enough to know what 202 area code was. I was like, So I got to call the White House at that time and tell them who I was, and I was returning a call. And we got to, from that point forward, go up and visit with the staff at the White House and tell them why rural EMS mattered and what it really meant to us for this regulation to change. And from that point, there are many people in this room that had a part to do with negotiated rulemaking way back when. There was a rural exemption put in place for ambulance providers that gave a rural and super rural modifier. One of the things that I was able to tell the President Clinton at that moment in time, in just that 2 or 3 minute talk that we had, I said, you know, you got to think about it. When you have rural hospitals, rural physicians, critical access hospitals, rural clinics, you have all these things that were categorized and gave it some other designation that gave it bumps in pay and things like that, but you've never heard of a rural ambulance service. And so that struck a nerve, and they realized that what we were saying, even though we're country bumpkins, really did have some merit to it. Well, then it came to the point with, how do you define rural? You know how I define rural at 25? One Walmart or less. Have you ever thought about that? How many Walmarts do you have in your town? Mm-hmm. I believe the Waltons was on to something back then. But we were able to crack that egg and speak to someone in Washington that we would have never had that opportunity to do if we wouldn't have stepped out of our comfort zone and told our story. And so that's what you're here to do today and this week, is to tell your story about the lives that you're saving and the good that you're doing in your community. Big or little, they all matter. And I love to tell my kids, you know, everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. The men and women that you will meet this week put their pants on one leg at a time. And they're no better than you are, no better than I am. And they really do want to hear your story. And they want to know what's going on back home. You're in your offices, these offices, because you're their constituents. You matter. Realizing that your DEA regulations that you have, these people have control of that. What you do on a daily basis, these people have control of that. And you should have a say. And almost every year, the medics that we bring up to Washington go back rejuvenated, revived, and ready to be a part of what's going on in our state. So we continue to grow the folks that want to speak up for EMS. And that's what I'm challenging you to do, is speak up for EMS. Speak up for your partners. Speak up for your profession. And be proud of the job that you do, because I'm very, very proud of you. And I know your companies are proud of you too, and that's why you're here today. So let's go have a good time. You guys, we manage emergencies for a living. I love the fact that we're on time. We're not late for a call. We're actually early for a call. And we're going to keep these things moving and maybe give you a little more free time on in the day somewhere. So this event is about you. Enjoy yourself this week.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, well, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. into the night, the Milky Way. You'll hear me call as we ascend. I'll say your name, then once again, thank you for being a